Hello. So today what I want to talk about is anniversaries following estrangement. And when I talk about anniversaries, I'm talking specifically about anniversaries of parents passing, dying. And this is particularly difficult to talk about because each experience and reasoning why someone stops contact with a parent will be very, very different. And also each individual feeling is going to change year on year. For instance, I'm 6 years down the road following my mother's death. And actually the hardest anniversary was yesterday, the day of her 6th anniversary, which really surprised me because prior to that, obviously going through therapy, lots of feelings had been coming up around my childhood. So feelings around anger, loss, but it was all sort of focused on previous events. Whereas yesterday, I found myself just focusing on her, just focusing on my mum. And not just that day, I found myself the whole of the week leading up to my mum's anniversary of her death, just thinking about her and wondering what she was feeling, which I actually found really poignant. And I just hadn't expected this. And this is one of the wonderful things that does happen when you truly, truly start working on yourself. You go beyond what was done to you. And I was abused physically and emotionally by my mother. So it runs deep. So that has taken me a long time. And I'm still in process. It's not something that you can just close the door on. But for so long, I had been focusing on what I had lost or what I hadn't had. But this year, well, yesterday in particular, and the run-up to yesterday, I had a sense of real poignancy and compassion and love towards her. And just reflecting on how it must have been for her in her last few days. I mean, it doesn't take away anything that happened in terms of would I do things differently. No. Things were not going to change until we both worked on ourselves, and especially Mum. And in this life, well, when she was here on Earth, there was no way she was going to begin to do that. So, how do you deal with these feelings? How do you process them when you can't have conversations with people? So what I've found helpful is actually getting a photograph of the person and actually talking to the photograph. In therapy, early on, my therapist talked to me about the empty chair. I don't know the correct phrase, but where you literally have an empty chair and you imagine the person sitting there talking to it. And I thought, nah, that doesn't work at all for me. It's an empty chair. So I actually started this myself, where I got a photograph of my mum, and I started to talk to it. And it might be a different photograph each time, but anytime I wanted to have a conversation, I'd do that. I mean, often I will just talk out loud, but I really find having a photograph, looking directly at a photograph, it's really powerful, and it really helps me to focus, and it really does make me feel as though I'm having a proper conversation. And that strategy, actually, I've used for anyone that's died. That I'm not able to now have a conversation with, to be able to talk, people that I've really loved. So that's something to think about. How do you process these feelings? You can't go back and talk things through, but what you can do is you can talk to your loved one about how you're feeling in the moment. That's all you can really do. It's about working through feelings. So yesterday was a strange day. I was very, very emotional in the morning. So I just cried, let out emotions. Another one of my go-to places is music. I listen to music, in particular Bach. So I put some beautiful music on, and one particular piece, the Bach Adagio. I just find that enormously helpful. So I guess, in conclusion to these sort of ramblings, it's okay to have feelings coming up. And you might one year be feeling intense anger and rage at not being able to have conversations. That's okay. I had those too. Especially very early on. Intense rage, fury. I went through the whole plethora of emotions. But yesterday, I was sort of out of the picture a lot of the time. And I was just focusing on my mum and seeing her in a much more fragile, vulnerable state. And talking to her. And I will continue to talk to her. I mean, I feel her presence very much around me, which is wonderful. So that's something to do. And really, there's no right or wrong way of dealing with this. Estrangement is very, very difficult, and I'll talk about this more in future videos. People can't really understand why someone would do it, and then they certainly don't understand the emotions that may come up. And you can't really talk to people about it. And there's so much online, there's so much sort of process going on with people. And really what I wanted to do was to look beyond that. I'm coming out the other side now, where I'm able to own my part in terms of what I was doing. That doesn't take away what happened to me, but you're not completely innocent as an adult participating. But it's so interesting how I've moved forward now and have been able to look at my mum and her feelings, and how she may have been feeling during this time. And all you can really do is, well, I'm really spiritual, so I feel that my mum is very close by, and that won't resonate with all of you, so I understand that. But for me, what I'm doing is just talking to her as if she's in the room. And although I can't physically touch her, she's here, and that brings me a huge amount of comfort, and probably her comfort too, knowing that the relationship has come full circle, and that although we couldn't have this type of relationship when she was alive, we are developing a really, really beautiful relationship now from something that was chaos and very destructive. But anniversaries are difficult, and you really, each one is going to be different. Who knows what next year will bring? I don't know. But this year in particular, it's 10 years ago almost since I stopped contact with my mum. So next month, September, marks the 10-year anniversary of when I last had contact physically with her properly. And then, of course, yesterday, the 28th of August, marked 6 years since she died. So I think it was quite a pivotal anniversary, really. Certainly pivotal for me. And I've been on my healing journey properly now for 6 years. So almost 6 years, actually. So it's interesting how I've managed to turn full circle. And when you're at the beginning of your healing journey, you definitely can't see an end. There is just so much pain coming up, so much resentment, so much hurt, so much animosity. It's all about what's happened to you. And eventually you begin to see your mum or whoever. I'm obviously focusing on my mum at the moment. I had a turbulent relationship with Dad too, and that's another story. But what I'm gently saying is they are human. And to be able to get to a place where you begin to see them as that, it doesn't excuse what they did. Please don't say that I'm trying to dismiss. Believe me, my mum actually hit me with a dog lead. So, she, as a child, she was extremely violent towards me. That doesn't diminish what she did. But I have moved beyond this now, to be able to have a huge amount of compassion towards her, and to see that towards the end of her life, it must have been very, very hard. And that's a much, much more healthy place for me to be, rather than constantly playing my role as the really injured victim daughter, which I've played for a long time. And it's natural. So I hope this has helped. I'd like to know your thoughts, and obviously anything that you found useful to do, but also any feelings that are coming up for you through listening to me. They're valid, and they're right for you, and it's about allowing those feelings to come up and moving through you. That's the most important thing. Sending lots of love.